Konnichiwa. Hello, everyone. My name is Dominik Jaskulski. I'm a co-founder at Office Samurai. Thank you for joining our webinar on how to add intelligence to your RPA bots. We'll have two speakers today, Andrzej Kinastowski, managing partner and co-founder at Office Samurai, and Aleksander Kania, regional vice president at UiPath. And before I give microphone to our guest, a few short updates. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, so feel free to use Q&A functionality in Zoom. And also, today we will speak about examples of generative AI. So this will be an example presented by Andrzej on how RPA bot functionalities could be easily extended with simple prompting to LLM models. And then we will talk about specialized AI solutions where we have a dedicated machine learning models that solves a specific type of a problem. This could be, for example, intelligent document understanding, communication mining, clipboard AI, or task mining tools. And if you are interested in learning more about the solutions that we will be describing today, feel free to reach to us. And one more update from Office Samurai before we start the webinar. We are changing as a company our strategic direction. So we want to go more towards AI and AI solutions. Of course, we will be still providing services related to RPA, but the focus will be more on AI. And one direction will be implementation of AI tools and solutions from UiPath. Another direction will be combining RPA bots with private versions of large language models like ChatGPT, BART, Llama, and so on, using prompting techniques. And our third direction is our own product, which we are building currently, and this will be a RAG framework. So this can be basically used to communicate and manage LLM models in enterprise environments. So the scenarios will be to use RAG framework to increase security around general AI, but also give business context to those models or give them access to your company data. And also, if you are interested in those topics, please reach to us. We can either help you with proof of concept or basically do a short demo. So no more introduction from my side, so I'm giving the mic to Andrzej. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Dominik. I want to talk about Gen AI because, you know, the last 12 months, everybody wants to talk Gen AI and for good reasons. I don't know if you remember the first time you saw what Gen AI can do when I remember when I first started playing with Midjourney, which is a tool for generating graphics. I was completely stunned by what it can do. Like in this example here, you can ask it for a picture of anything you want in the style that you want, and it will generate those pictures, and every time it will generate them differently. And the level of detail and the style is absolutely stunning. Of course, you know, the more you play with the technology, the more you can see that sometimes it's not perfect. And for instance, the tools for generating graphics don't understand how human anatomy works. It doesn't always remember how many fingers a usual person has. Those are things that, of course, those companies are still working on. And image generation is one thing. In the context of the business, it usually plays a smaller role, but of course, working with text is a really big thing for us. And this is one of the early things that I did. This particular thing is when I was delivering training on Kibana. And with Kibana, we were doing it around visualizing UiPath logs from robots. And we needed a scripted field. So we needed a field that was calculated from other fields. And you do this in Kibana, you do this in Java. And I'm not a huge fan of Java. I had to learn it years ago. Somehow it didn't stick with me. So instead of coming back to, okay, how do I write simple things in Java? I would ask a question to, in this case, ChatGPT. And if you write the question well, it actually gives you a really good answer that, of course, you can polish and you can ask it to refine it. But usually you get very good things from the start. Again, of course, the more you work with those models, the more you see how sometimes they just don't seem to grasp certain things, like ChatGPT 3.4 or 3.5 is very bad with math. And if you ask it, is 450 the 90% of 500? It tells you, no, it's not. And then it talks you through how you should calculate it, and then it shows you that, yes, it is. So those models, they seem intelligent, but it's not the kind of intelligence that we expect of humans. And also when it comes to knowledge, they can be wrong in how they search for information. Like when I asked, this was also on 3.5, how many countries start with the letter V? It says there's 3. Vanuatu, Vatican City, and Venezuela. So I asked it, okay, so what about Vietnam? And basically how it answers is, when I was at the university and I would go to the exam that I really wasn't well prepared for, this is basically what I would do, like, of Vietnam, of course, Vietnam. I mean, Vietnam is so obvious, I didn't even mention Vietnam. So you need to be aware of what tasks are done really well by those models and what tasks are maybe not yet that good. Of course, it changes from different vendor to vendor, and also it changes a lot with the versions. Like here, we're talking ChatGPT. The same questions, if you ask them to model 4, you will get the right answers. So they get better and better in time. But when we think about how do we use this technology, as cool as it is, how do we use it in our enterprises? We very often, the first thing that we come up with is, okay, we're going to teach the model our data, right? And it sounds like an amazing idea. If we could have our company's data taught to the model, it could answer a lot of questions that right now people have to answer. And even in an organization our size, we're an organization of 35 people, we already see that our administration department, they get a lot of questions like, okay, how do I order a multi-sport card? Am I entitled to this? And this is the kind of questions that a model like this will fed with the with our company data, it could answer, right? But it's easier said than done, because if you really want to teach a model like an OpenAI ChatGPT, it costs $2 to $3 million. And it would have to be a huge saving to justify this sort of a spending, right? So we don't really teach those models the data. What we do is we create what Dominic mentioned, we create those RAG frameworks where you have your data in a vector database, and then you use, when a user asks a question, you use simpler algorithms, not LLM algorithms, but simpler algorithms to find the data that may be relevant to the question, and then you feed the question and the data you found to the large language model so it can answer the question in the context of the information from your company. This is quite complicated, and this is something that we are still working on. We have first labs created on this, and they look really, really good. But this is not what I want to tell you about today. Today, I would like to talk more about how do we enhance process automation with pure Gen AI. So if we have pure engine, a ChatGPT, a BART, whatever else it is you are allowed to use in your organization, how do we use it to actually help our bots do things that they're not that good at, or maybe do things that pure RPA doesn't allow you to do. And we, to check this out, we asked Konrad, our technical lead, to play around with those models and to basically come up with ways how we can enhance RPA with Gen AI. And Konrad, as smart as he is, of course, he asked ChatGPT, okay, so what are the biggest challenges in process automation? And this is what ChatGPT came back with. And then he started one by one, he started looking into, okay, how can Gen AI help us overcome those obstacles? And he found that actually quite a lot of them can be addressed with using large language models. And so what he did is he built a lab, an internal lab within Office Samurai, where he created a process for HR recruitment, and he tried to automate as much as possible out of it. And before you start asking, no, we do not want the robots to hire our people. This is the job for the people, but there is a lot of administration around HR recruitment, right? There's a lot of collating data and answering and asking questions and summarizing things. And this kind of background work, it can be automated. And from our perspective, it should. So the first thing that he modeled was data extraction. And with data extraction, what we get in HR recruitment, we get those CVs. And in theory, it's kind of like with invoices. In theory, every invoice has the same kind of information, right? We have a gross amount and net amount and, issue date and the vendor name. But every invoice is different because, of course, every company wants to have their own beautiful template for the invoice. And it's kind of like this with CVs. If you try to read data from a CV that you get, it's kind of the same information, but it's put in different ways. It's differently described. So reading it for a pure RPA robot would be extremely hard. So we tried, can we do this with Gen AI? And we actually connected a bot that would, all of the things that I will be showing you here is just pure prompting, right? No vector databases, no RAG frameworks, just pure prompts, and only the things that can fit into a single prompt. So in this case, we gave it a prompt. You're going to receive a content of a resume, and based on it, extract the information in the following format. And this specifying the format is very important for us because what we're aiming to do here is to get from unstructured data or semi-structured data to structured data. And once we have structured data, we can already have our robots to process it in our systems. And so it was surprisingly good at doing that. It found the information that we were looking for. So this is one of the things that large language models are very good at. So the next thing we tried to do is we asked it, is the email that you're getting, because in this particular process, we've been simulating a simple email mailbox where people would send their CVs to apply for a job. So we would ask it, okay, can you tell us if this email is connected to a recruitment? And this is an important question because sometimes you will get some spam or somebody writes to you by mistake and you don't want to put those emails into processing for your recruitment. And you can ask, the prompts can be quite wide. So we said, if the content of the email does not indicate that the person is interested in recruitment, return the expression not recruitment. And for the emails there where people wrote that this is connected to the recruitment, or I attach my CV and so on, it said, yes, this is recruitment. But when we played with it and when Konrad sent it information to be at the underground parking with cash because he has 40 grams prepared, it rightfully saw that this is not related to recruitment. And then you can have a template, or you can ask your LLM model to generate a response for you. Basically, you want to say, hey, we don't think this is related to recruitment. If you have any things outside of recruitment, there's a different mailbox that you can use. So the next thing is we looked at, can it answer questions that people are asking? And so here the prompt is quite big because we say what it has to do, reply to the email, answering recruitment related questions. And then we say things you need to know. And here we put all the relevant information that it may need, but of course we need to fit it within the length of the prompt. So we would put here the content of the job advert, and we would also put basic information about the company, about what we do, how we do it, some internal things. And it was quite surprising how much it is able to answer. If you send it an email, my resume is attached, how much money will I get, and can I bring my parrot to the office? It is actually able to answer those questions. One thing is, it answers how much money the person gets because in the prompt we added the job advert, and so this is where this information can be found. With the parrot, it's kind of a more interesting story because in the documents that we gave it, we don't have a policy on bringing parrots to the office, but we do have a policy that you can bring a dog to the office. So in this case, the model extrapolated from the data it had and thought, you know, if bringing a dog to the office is fine, then probably bringing a parrot is fine too. And it writes a nice email answering the questions, saying this is the range that you can expect, and also when it comes to the parrot, you can bring it, but we ask you to ensure the safety and well-being of both the parrot and other employees, which I think is a really nice way to put it. Then we looked at mapping, and mapping is needed here because when you think about things like language proficiency or education, it's again kind of the same information, but can be put in the CV in very different ways. So some people will say A1, B1, C2, but some people will say fluent or intermediate or something like this. And you want to map it to something, you want to map it to the same way of measuring this proficiency. And with education, it's the same thing. Some people will write their university name in English, some in Polish or any other language. Some of them will use abbreviations, some of them will not. So you can actually quite easily, with a simple prompt and a list of universities, you can ask it to map things like intermediate and fluent to the relevant B1 and C2 in this case, and also map the university. So it's always the same university in your data table is always named exactly the same. And also you can ask it to judge, is this a technical kind of education or not, where it's kind of more free to decide, but we found that it's very good at it. Next, and this is something that I was really surprised how well it does this, is we asked it, can you see, like, look at the content of a resume, and we also added later look at the body of the email, subject and the body of the email, and tell us whether there's anything suspicious or dangerous in it. And this is a very wide prompt, right? I mean, this is something that you would say to a human. We're not used to giving such a wide question to a computer. But we say, look at it, see if there's something suspicious or dangerous, return no alarm if everything is okay, and the description of the situation if there is something wrong with it, that you think is something wrong with it. And this, again, you give it to the bot, and when it returns null alarm, then we go on with the processing. If it returns anything else, we can throw an exception. And this is what we found. So first thing that Konrad tried is to do an SQL injection. Those of you who work with databases know that this is trying to meddle with our database, and it found it without any problems. And not only it tells us that it's suspicious content, not only it tells us that this is a potential SQL injection, but it actually tells you what this SQL injection is trying to do. So it said that the candidate is attempting to modify the salary of Konrad in the employees table. So you get quite an extensive information about what it is, and it actually gave us recommendation to reject and investigate with the security teams. And this is kind of the technical side, but also we found that it can find suspicious things from the legal perspective. And if we send it an email saying, my resume is attached, in another mail, I will show you source code of my solution, code is illegal because my previous company prohibits publishing it, but I want to show it to you, basically. It also gives us an alarm. So it says there's a statement that they will be sending code that they shouldn't be sending, and this is a violation, and so on and so forth, right? So you can see with a really wide prompt, it checks a lot of aspects of what it gets, and it gives you information that, look, there's something that a human operator should have a look at. Generating summaries, this is something that, you know, large language models are really, really good at it. And one thing we asked it to do is to give us a summary of the candidate's CV. So it returns a few sentences, however many you want, kind of written in a human language of what it thinks about the candidate. But what is quite interesting, we also asked it, prepare questions that we should ask this particular person in the context of this particular job advertisement. And in the case that we were working on, we have been looking for UiPath developers with experience with Reframework, which is a framework that UiPath is you use in UiPath for unattended automation. And usually people don't put information about Reframework in their CVs. And basically the model saw it and saw that there's a discrepancy between the CVs and the job advert. There's missing information about Reframework. So in both those cases, it told us, hey, ask about Reframework, because from the CV, we don't know if this person have worked with it. And I think this is a really nice way for the computer to catch certain discrepancies or lack of something in the candidate's resume that possibly a human recruiter would not have caught. And then we kind of put it in a loop where we tried, can it do the whole process of doing the correspondence, answering questions, asking questions, can it do it all at once? And if you do it in the context of one conversation, it proved to be very good at it. And this is one of the examples that we tested. My resume is attached. Where do I find it? Where do you have the office? And then the model generates in a nice professionally written email answering the question about the office location, because it gets it in the prompt in the company information. But after analyzing the CV, it saw that not all of the data that we have to have has been provided in the CV. So it also asks a question: could you let us know your level of English proficiency on a scale A1 to C2? And additionally, we would like to know about your educational background. So those two things were missing. And then the person answers, I can read the text in English, but have problems with speaking. And this is like with the example previously, it maps it, I think it mapped it to B1. And they don't answer the second question about the education, but they ask a question about how many employees do we have? And again, the model, having the whole discussion in the context of one conversation, it thanks for information about the candidate's skill on English. It answers the question about how many employees do we have? We have 35. This is again the information that was in the prompt, in the initial prompt of the conversation. And then it asks again about education, and it asks in a nice and calm manner. A human operator would probably start getting crossed with the candidate at this point because they forgot, but it nicely asks again, we need this information also. And then the person apologizes and gives us the information. And this closes the loop because there's no more questions asked by the candidate. And also we already have all the data that we needed. And so this way you could, a lot of the administration behind the recruitment before you actually go to the meeting with the person, which is a job for a human, things that you do before that, a lot of it you could automate, but also after the recruitment, you could still keep on automating things. One of the things that I personally hate about how some companies do recruitment is that they are in a nice touch with you while the recruitment is going on, but when they reject you, they either tell you, I'm sorry, you've been rejected, and they don't provide you any information, or they just go silent, right? They stop answering your emails, they don't take your calls, which is kind of a rude thing to do. But of course, in the recruitment, there's always too much work, and the candidates that we still have in the process always take priority over the ones that we have rejected, right? So what usually happens is that people make some notes during or after the recruitment meeting, but those notes are not nice kind of notes. It's just scribbles where people say things in a very natural way, not professional, not for external communication anyway. And you can actually ask a model to put it nicely and then to send information about what is your decision to the candidate. And in this case, we made a note that the person was expecting too high a salary, and also she had too little experience with Reframework. And you give this information to the model, asking it to write a nice email because in the column qualified, we say no. So we know that we have rejected the person, and also the remark, put it in a nice way and, create an email that will inform the candidate about what was the decision and why we made this decision. And it actually creates a really nice email, starting with our appreciation for the person being in a part of our recruitment, informing them that we will not move forward with their application, and also informing them about why. So we have concerns regarding the salary expectation you mentioned, and also the experience in ReFramework is limited, and it is crucial for requirement for this role. So like, imagine if you are the candidate inside this process, you get a nice email, even though you have been rejected, you get a nice email explaining what's going on. And I strongly feel that it leaves a completely different impression that you would get from just getting an automated message, thanks, but no thanks, or just complete silence. And the other way around, also the text is in Polish because we have also been testing whether it can work in more than one language at the same time. It's very good at it. And here we said, yes, we are hiring that person. And the note basically says they're okay, but they need to do some courses on SQL before they start working. And also it creates a nice email saying that we are accepting you, we're making you an offer. However, we request you complete SQL courses before you join because it's essential, and so on. So again, it creates nice email that usually we do not have time or the patience to create. But I think this nice level of communication is expected of companies. And basically here, this is a lab. We put it together to see which problems in process automation could be solved with connecting our RPA platforms to LLM models. There's a million different things that we could also do, and we are actively working with some of our customers and partners on doing POCs, doing as many POCs as we can, because we clearly see that although large language models, it's a fresh technology, right? I mean, compared to RPA, this is like baby stage, but it already has a huge potential to solve a lot of the problems that we are trying to solve. And I'm sure we will be seeing more and more of those actual uses in the business environment. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Andrzej. I guess we'll take some question and answers at the end of the webinar. So I would like to give the microphone now to Alek Kania from UiPath. Alek?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Please confirm if you see my slides. Perfect. Hello. I'm really happy to see a lot of participants from different countries. Lithuania is very strongly represented. Welcome, everyone. Let me do a very brief introduction to the elements of AI strategy and our roadmap. We are not new to AI, and AI is not something that we got excited about after the launch of ChatGPT. Our company has been investing in that space basically since the beginning. Our first encounters with AI were around computer vision, when we realized that our robots need to be able to understand the user interface of some applications that are not easy to understand. So we equipped our robots with computer vision. There's been a lot of investment in that space, and UiPath holds a large number of patents in the space of computer vision. But we did not stop there. The next space, we started building our AI capabilities, where our customers said that the robots need more intelligence. But before we'll get there, let me start with a statement of one of the scholars and Digital EU ambassador. Alexandra is a professor at one of the Polish business schools, the top-rated one, and also a Harvard visiting scholar. She's clearly identifying the trends on the market, that there's no single artificial intelligence solution. And at this moment, where we are just starting the huge journey into unknown on how much we will be able to do with artificial intelligence, there is no clear information what to invest in and how to work with artificial intelligence, and with which one is going to be the one that will work best for you. And UiPath, since we've been playing a role of AI enabler for business processing, we also can support our customers perfectly in reaping the best out of different types of AI, different solutions from different vendors. So there's really no need for me to explain how big is the potential of AI. Some people go even into extremely high expectations, saying AI is going to be a new electricity. For sure, AI is going to impact business models. It's going to impact the way we work. It's going to impact the workforce. And we already see in the research done by PwC says that those companies that invest in AI, that use those tools, they have significant competitive advantage over the peers. So no question, we all need to use AI, and we all need to come up with a strategy that is that delivers value and is also future-proof. That this strategy will help us to react to the changes on the market, and will react to will enable us to use the top solution at the given moment. So we are not new to AI at UiPath, and our customers are definitely not new to AI. They realize the value of combining RPA and AI. And one of the many of our customers, PepsiCo, has identified that very early and started combining UiPath with cognitive programs or cognitive services. And we see that trend accelerating enormously. As UiPath, we are providing you with both the environment and also already pre-built solutions that will enable you to implement AI. So what are the AI components in UiPath offer, right? We have number of products that are infused with specialized AI models, document understanding, communication mining, or task mining. These products, they have AI components that are embedded and fulfill function within these modules. But also we add to our platform number of places that use in number of ways, use generative AI as a component that enhances and enables the platform to do more for you. As an important component of the platform, we also created a component called AI Trust Layer. I'll tell you a little bit more about this. This program is designed to help you manage your AI operations by controlling what information is provided to the models, what information comes back, assess the risk of performing automatic action on the information provided by AI, and control the cost of using different AIs. So what UiPath basically is enabling you to do is adding hands and a body to AI, right? We help you to gather the context, to provide the data, and then we give you ability to react on whatever the AI does, right? So if you ask ChatGPT to provide you with a draft of an email, you'll get a very nicely formulated email, but the system will not be able to send it to your client. You will have to copy it and send it to your client because the model does not perform action. And to create a good prompt, as you saw in a presentation of Andrzej just a few minutes ago, also gathering the information and formulating the right prompt is also a work that a robot can do perfectly. So let's start with GenAI, how we use GenAI in our platform. First of all, to supercharge productivity, we have created a module which is called Autopilot that provides added functionality, provides helping hand, improves productivity of different personas in the organization. Secondly, we use generative AI to enhance our own product by adding functionality and improving our own models. And eventually, as a third way, we use generative AI to provide to build additional solutions using UiPath as hands and eyes of AI. Let's go more into details. Let's talk a little bit about Autopilot. Autopilot, it has been announced last year in our conference, and it's already available in preview for all our customers that are members of our Insiders program. I highly recommend participation. This is the way for you to get access to the newest, provide your feedback, and influence how UiPath builds its products. So a brief intro to the Autopilot concept. We have an Autopilot for developers that helps them to create automations faster, that solves simple problems that they have to they come across while developing robots. Developing robot with UiPath with Autopilot is even easier and faster than it used to be. We have Autopilot for testers that help to automate creation and managing of automatic tests. We have Autopilot for business analysts that will help them to analyze processes and create recommendations as to what processes should be automated and how. And eventually, we have Autopilot for everyone. Our Autopilot for assistant, so for our attended robot, is something that every person in every company can take advantage of. One of the examples of functionality of Autopilot for assistants is our Clipboard AI. Clipboard AI last year was awarded the title of the best innovation of invention by the Time magazine, and it is already hugely tested throughout our customers. This solution is also available for preview, and I highly recommend playing at this. What it does is basically enables you to copy paste whole pages. So you can copy the whole screen full of different information. Let's say it's an ERP form that has all the data about your customer. You copied it all at once, and then you can paste it all at once in another application or another spreadsheet or document. Cognitive part of Clipboard AI enables it to understand the data that is copied, normalize that data, and put it into a completely different layout, completely different type of document. Fascinating technology, and I think it changes completely the way of working for many office works and for basically all of us. Let's take a look at specialized AI. Now, another space of deployment of specialized of AI is obviously working with documents. We've been investing in that space for quite a few years, being a challenger to a lot of incumbent solutions that started many years ago with the legacy technology, which is called OCR, and then enhanced that to be more and more functional. What we decided to do is that we will provide a business user with ability to use AI without programming, without big investment of time, and enable business users to very quickly build AI-driven solutions for understanding documents, categorizing them properly, and extracting from these documents information that is needed to process those documents. This solution has already a big number of implementations throughout Europe, and has been recognized as a top solution and a star performer by Everest Group. It is for us a source of big pride that we managed to become #1 in this software category, and it becomes a very important area of our solutions. Within document understanding, you will find a lot of pre-trained specialized models that work with different types of documents. So through that, you will get a very quick and very high results on the training on your own documents. But this is not limiting you in any way. One of our customers has recently decided that they will train a model on a completely not known type of document before, and they managed to do it extremely easy and achieve very high result of accuracy of recognition because the model can learn so quick. So to our document understanding solution, which has a specific specialized AI solution embedded that helps you to work with documents, we add generative AI components. We have added active learning, which accelerates the improvement of the model, and this makes our models even better, even faster, with less involvement from business people. We already have added, and it's available for your use, generative annotation, which is labeling the documents in the process of learning. So that means that we can save a lot of time of business users and humans, basically, that are training the model. We have generative classification. So we use generative model to understand the nature of the document and classify it properly, and also extraction. So these are most of it, as you can see, is already live, and you can test them in our solution. What is very important is that this is available as a service to you. So there is very little effort and cost on your side to start using this platform, these components within your RPA, your automation projects. So let's get into summary slowly. First of all, there's a number of different scenarios for using AI and UiPath. You've seen a very interesting one provided by Andrzej a few minutes ago, but there is many different ways of combining it. So we divide them in three distinctive patterns. Number one will be reader-writer. So UiPath is reading data, providing the context to LLM, which then creates content based on the context. A second scenario is analyst doer. So UiPath is providing context to LLM, is giving a task, receives the result of the analysis, and then acts on this analysis, whether this be next best action, whether this is going to be any customer service operation or marketing operation. UiPath then takes the result of the analysis and works on it, performing actions towards the customer or within the systems, your systems, right? And the third scenario is where UiPath is actually fulfilling the actions that are recommended by the LLM model in capacity of conversational assistant to you. All these models have been already implemented, and they are very well exercised by us and by our partners. We started this presentation with a statement from Aleksandra Przegalińska. She mentioned there is no single AI. We all are aware of that. There is already a huge investment from many different significant players into AI space. We all know ChatGPT. We see how much Microsoft is investing in using ChatGPT and combining their applications with ChatGPT. There is also a huge investment from companies like Google, Amazon, that has recently provided $4 billion to Anthropic to develop their model. And I can bet with you that today there is a bunch of smart people thinking about another way of using machine learning and AI to provide useful solutions. So what we are committed to is we're committed to provide you with ability to work with all of those different models through native connections that we build to those that are very popular, to having ability to build your own connector to a different providers of generative AI solutions. So with UiPath, in your AI strategy, we provide you with choice and with peace of mind. Whoever is coming with a better solution for your industry, for your use case, you will be able to employ that solution. But to do it safely, to do it without risk, we provide you with additional component in our platform. This is a component called AI Trust Layer, and it enables you to make sure that your components are safe and you control the cost. So that would be about it in terms of the intro. There is much more you can find on our webpage, and I highly recommend you to visit our our pages about AI and RPA. As well, if you only want, please connect with me on LinkedIn. Reach out. I'll be happy to help you know more about how UiPath and AI can be deployed in your organization. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Alexander. Arigato. We still have 5 minutes, so let's take the questions from Q&A section. So first one is from Sarunas. What RPA tool was tested with Gen AI in your example? I guess this is to Andrzej. Would such approach work for any?
Yeah, so we used UiPath in this case, but you can use any tool that can send API requests, because this is all done through the API, can be used to do something like this.
Second question from Krzysztof. How do you inject information about your company in ChatGPT? I guess this is also related to the HR example.
Yeah, so we put it all in the prompt, and for this we had to play with different models, because like ChatGPT 3.5 only takes like 1,000 to 2,000 words in a prompt, but if you switch to ChatGPT 4, you can already have more than 20,000, and 4 Turbo and BART can take like 100,000 words. So this is like the size of an average novel. So you can fit a lot of information in there. Of course, the more information you put in there, the more expensive it is to run the question, but you can fit it all in the prompt if you're using API.
This is in case of using a prompting approach, right? But
Yeah.
you can potentially also have a RAG framework where this information are vectorized.
Yeah, and then it actually allows you to manage the cost, because you're not sending all of your information to the model together with the question, but you use those simpler algorithms to first choose the data, the information that is relevant to the question, and only send those bits and pieces that are needed to answer it. And this allows you to get the cost of running it down.
We also have one anonymous question to Andrzej. Andrzej, have you considered a case for comparing requests for proposals? It would require a lot more conditions, but in the initial stage, it could help to reject bidders who do not meet the key conditions.
Yeah, we didn't try it, but this is one of the ideas that we have been pitching to our customers. There's often a lot of documentation that you need to browse through, and sometimes you get a lot of proposals, and you're only gonna in the end consider like 3 or 5 or something. So it would absolutely work, but it would need to be very thoroughly tested, especially in requests where there's a lot of data and documentation coming, and sometimes the model would even have to kind of read through it and understand, like, I don't know, browse through all the certificates that the company sent and decide, do those certificates match the criteria that we have, right? So it needs more criteria, and it needs to be well tested, but it absolutely could be done.
Mm-hmm. We have the next question from Krzysztof. You have no GDPR-related concerns due to injecting company data to Gen AI prompt. And I think this also can relate to what Alexander showed regarding this trust layer, right? Because UiPath is creating the trust layer to take care of such scenarios that your usage of LLM models is compliant with GDPR, for example. But in our example, Andrzej, if you could also reply to this.
Sure. So basically, there's a few things to go around. In this case that I've shown you, none of the data that we used was anything that we would have to worry about. But one way or another, we are using two versions of those LLM models. One is we are using pro versions where you can set them up in a way that the data you send to it is not being fed back to the model. So your discussions are not used to teach the model, right? And another thing, and this is for basically for corporate use, you can spin up your own private instance of an LLM. So in Azure, you can spin up a ChatGPT. In AWS, you can spin up Bard, right? And you can have your own private version. It doesn't communicate with anything. It's just your data. It doesn't go anywhere outside of your private cloud. So from that perspective, it's as safe as, you know, having emails in an Outlook or files on a SharePoint.
Mm. One last question. What do you think, which AI model is best right now to use? Alek, Andrzej, any one of you would like to take?
From my perspective, it kind of depends on what you want to use it for, because there's a huge race now, especially between OpenAI and Google, and Bard and ChatGPT are really like GPT-4 Turbo and the newest Bard are basically more or less at the same level. But in a few months, it can be completely different. It may be somebody new will get into play and they will take over. What I think is the most important is you design, and this is what we do, you design your solutions, like Alex said, that you can connect any engine to it. So if right now you can go with ChatGPT, but maybe in a few months you will see, okay, a different model makes more sense. And then you need to design those solutions in a way that you can switch the model and everything still works, right? I mean, of course, you need to do the testing, but it needs to work. And another thing is, to add a bit of more complexity, is that some models are more expensive to use and some models are cheaper to use. So for some tasks, you want to use a year-old model because it's good enough and it's cheap and it's fast. And for some other more complex things, you may want to use the, you know, the top model that currently exists.
Alek, would you like to add anything to this?
Well, as I mentioned in my presentation, you know, there's if somebody today could bet on the best AI model and maintain it, he would be you know, second Elon Musk. It is still unknown. It's such a dynamically evolving space that it's impossible. And as Andrzej mentioned, you know, it's rather some kind of a adaptive way of using AI. For this task, you can use something that is free of charge. For others, you will need a premium model premium engine. For others, you will use a specialized service that will be much more effective in solving exactly the problem that you want to solve. So this is why we believe in UiPath that we are providing our customers really with the foundational component of AI strategy.
Okay, we are a little after the time, but one last question from Raimondas, and please, guys, no more question today. we don't have time, but feel free to contact Alek, to contact Andrzej or me via LinkedIn or other channels. We'll be happy to connect with you and speak to you after the webinar. But one last question from Raimondas. Do you think using RAG strongly improve chances for automation, or it's not necessary?
My perspective, for simple things, for things that you can fit into a reasonable prompt, you don't need a RAG. But if simple prompting is no longer enough, or you want to do more specialized things, or you have a lot of data that you need to take into account when answering the question, then it makes sense to use RAG. So unfortunately, I'm sorry about that, but it's kind of the, you know, consultant's answer. It depends.
Nothing to add to that.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for staying so long with us. Arigato also to Alexander and Andrzej. And yeah, keep automating. Thank you.
Arigato.
Thanks.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.